This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Mac and Jack Show. I am Jamie Paggs, co-hosting with Mac up on the top and Jack, Hall of Fame boxing writer and sports guru in total. As you know, as long as it has to do with New York, I think he gets a little soft when he goes outside of New York.
Well, and upstate New York too. That includes it because yours truly picked the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl, and I'm looking good.
Okay. So far, so good. And I also must say he is one of the best friends of Keith Hernandez because he can't ever seem to get that name out of his mouth.
Yes. Well, the Mets were off yesterday. I mean, the Yankees suffered a tough loss. I'm not in the mood to talk baseball right now. Maybe as the show goes along.
There we go. But let's start it off. There was NFL football, real NFL football yesterday. And it started off with a bang. There were no bats killed at halftime by Ozzy Osbourne. He didn't bite any heads off of bats, so PETA can be very safe about that. And the Rams got their butts handed to them.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, the Buffalo Bills seem to be on a mission right off the bat that this is their year. I mean, they were completely focused. The Rams still seem to have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. I mean, there's certain issues, weaknesses they're going to have to get addressed. Their offensive line with Andrew Whitworth retiring, their left tackle, Von Miller abused his replacement in there. And, you know, certain things with the Rams are kind of missing. Jalen Ramsey, an all-pro who would normally be reliable in the corner. You know, Stephon Diggs was doing a job on him, and he was having a lot of difficulty. And Josh Allen quarterbacking the Bills was phenomenal. It was like a surgeon there. The Bill running game was working. Matthew Stafford, the Ram quarterback, gets sacked 7 times. Yeah. I mean, the Rams have more than enough time to get it together. And it is just one game at the end. And in reality, we have 2 different seasons, the regular and then the playoffs. A team like the Bills, they could go 17-0 during the regular season, but if they get bumped in the playoffs, the season's going to be looked at as a failure. So with the Bills, it's strictly the end result. And the Rams, too, anything short of winning the Super Bowl will be a little disappointing to them at least. But repeating is so hard in this league. But, you know, teams make a run at it, but somehow you lose the eye of the tiger. Last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trying to repeat. They didn't quite have the eye of the tiger, and they lost to the Rams in the playoffs. The year before, the Chiefs looked to repeat. They went to the Super Bowl, but then they got beat up pretty bad there by the Buccaneers. And the Rams, they just don't look like a team that's going to repeat, fellas. Even their great punter, Hecker, they let him go to Carolina, the Carolina Panthers, and he's arguably, you know, the greatest punt in NFL history. OBJ was there yesterday. I don't know whether you guys saw. He was like carrying the Ram banner, you know, a celebration of the Super Bowl, the opening game. He had on some Ram gear, OBJ. So that's kind of like a hint. What do you guys think? Von Miller, when he ran out on the field for the Bills, the Ram fans booed him, even though he was part of their Super Bowl winning team last year. So much for loyalty. You talk about player loyalty. Where's the fan loyalty? Von Miller helped them win the Super Bowl, and now they're booing him.
I'm surprised you even got to hear the boos because all 18 fans that were there in attendance really didn't make much noise. There was more Bills fans in attendance than there were Rams fans.
It's true. And let's not forget to get credit where credit's due, right? The offensive line of the Buffalo Bills was awesome. I mean, when he went back in the pocket, it was open. When he ran with the ball, he picked up a lot of great yardage. So, you know, let's not forget, as you say, Pags, there's one in the trenches, and Buffalo sure won in the trenches yesterday.
I mean, he did get sacked twice. You did see Aaron Donald did get his, and I felt like it was funny because you saw, the obviously Stafford got sacked in his first series by Von Miller, and then the very next series, the very next pass he went back, Aaron Donald was able to get his sack. So there was a little bit of competition between the two of them in total, but yeah, you could tell. St. Louis got old. That's what happened over this offseason.
They're the LA Rams. They're no longer the St. Louis Rams. Come on.
That's all right. I'm with you. I'm with you, Mac.
I'm going to say this. Mac makes a good point about the trenches with the Bills. The Bills have been criticized the last couple of years, not really having that good of a running game, but Singletary did a real good job running the ball yesterday because he really had the blocking. And I mentioned Jalen Ramsey before. He had a lot of difficulty there and pass coverages, and he's a great cornerback. That's the thing about it. But Jalen Ramsey said, but I have to worry about Josh Allen. He's a running quarterback. He takes off. So Josh Allen has an effect on the corners. He has an effect on the whole secondary because once you think he's going to run with the ball, you have to be focused on him as well. And that really opens things up. It's going to be interesting, guys. When the year ends, who's going to be the best quarterback at the end of this season? Not the beginning of the season. Right now, if we said the beginning of the season, there'd be a lot of votes for Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. But I'm going to tell you something, guys. When the season ends and everyone takes a poll, Josh Allen might be on top of that poll conceivably.
I don't know. I still
Jalen Hurts. Oh, man. And Max saying the Giants will go to the Super Bowl, and you're saying Jalen Hurts will be the number one rated quarterback.
Well, I know that won't happen. So I know that won't happen. We could bet whatever amount of money that he wants to lose. I'll give 1,000 to 1 odds that the Giants do not.
No, you're going to bet him even. You're going to bet him even up. Who's going to be rated higher? The Giants as a team, or Jalen Hurts as a quarterback? That should be the bet.
Yeah, and we all know the answer to that already, so we just can move it along.
Yeah, exactly. That Jalen Hurts is going to be rated much higher. So, but anyways, so it wound up being, like I said, it was an okay first quarter, but that was really about it. Buffalo really turned it on, and it showed sloppiness of a regular preseason game. Obviously, this was week 1. Yeah, I thought Stafford was, throwing his balls high all game long, that he wasn't really crisp, that Josh Allen wound up being the best rusher on the Bills, as well as throwing those touchdown passes. I think he threw 3 touchdown passes in total, 2 interceptions as well. So it's not like everybody was, in mid-season form.
Yeah.
But and you make a great point, Pax, a great point, which no one considers. I mean, in boxing, they say a fighter who's been inactive, he needs to get rounds in to work off the rust. He needs activity. Well, for the majority of the guys out there in the field, they haven't played much since last season. They haven't played much in the preseason. You could have all the practice you want, all the scrimmages you want, but nothing quite compares to game conditions. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of these teams, as the season goes along, the players in all positions are going to get to be sharper. They're going to get to be better. They're going to get things down pat. You mentioned yesterday, in a way, it was like a preseason game, okay? Even though they hadn't all the regulars, they were playing a lot for the first time since last season. A lot of them, and you could tell. As far as the Rams went, you could especially tell.
Yeah, and it seems like they're all all pro cornerback there. He plays okay against receivers that aren't that good.
Jalen Ramsey,
but when it comes to playing, the all pro wide receivers, he just can't do it.
No, he's proven from the time Jalen Ramsey was in Jacksonville to the Rams. I mean, he's quality. I'm going to tell you, maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't. I think the corner cornerback is the hardest position to play in the NFL. I know you might say quarterback, but quarterbacks can have a read on things. At least they have a semblance of control of the situation, or should have control. A cornerback is so handicapped. He's going against world-class athletes, very speedy, and the rules always favor the receivers. You put your hands on the receiver, they're going to flag you. You can only do so much to stop him, and the receiver knows what he's going to do. You have to anticipate what he's going to do. It's such a hard position to play, cornerback.
I agree. Definitely agree.
No, I can concur with that. It's the receiver is going to understand whether double or triple move in certain cases, and you have to be able to stay with them and such. That's why it's. I feel like it's more important for cornerbacks to have speed than they do football awareness. The reason why I believe it that way is because a great receiver is always going to beat a great cornerback. It's just going to happen. A good receiver is going to be able to get theirs. A great cornerback is going to be able to get beat and have good closing speed and be able to catch back up to that guy. And I feel that's what's most important.
Stephon Diggs yesterday. When you talk about the elite receivers in the NFL, Stephon Diggs' name normally doesn't quite come up. For some reason, I mean, he gets paid like an elite receiver, but somehow he's considered just a little behind the Devontae Adams, the Tyreek Hills.
Correct.
And, and a lot's relative to what a team does. If Buffalo does win the Super Bowl, Stephon Diggs is a standout. Then he elevates himself up. And a lot of these receivers, for whatever reason, there's a certain discontent because Stephon Diggs just wasn't that happy on the Vikings for whatever reason. But I think a lot has to do with the quarterback who's throwing you the ball. I think the receivers are aware of it. And in certain situations, they just don't feel they're going to thrive. And then they could become a distraction to the team. Hypothetically, let's say OBJ was a model citizen with the Giants all along, never complained. Where would his career have been to this point? Daniel Jones would still be the quarterback of the Giants, and OBJ's performances would have gone down. So that's why I think sometimes receivers look for a little change of scenery when it's not going their way, or they let it be known they're not happy, which we're going to keep an eye on the Philadelphia Eagles in that way this year because they have two stud receivers, but the one that really has got to take the next step, even though he was excellent last year, Devontae Smith. If Devontae Smith sees he's not taking the next step, I don't know what type of individual he is, whether he's just going to be quiet, buy in no matter what the circumstance is, or is he going to express a certain unhappiness?
Well, I guess that'll all depend on winning or losing.
If he doesn't get how often he gets the ball, Pax, let me stop there. The Eagles can start this season at 7-1, hypothetically. Let's make believe they get off to a great start. Everyone is happy in the Philadelphia fan base. Wow, things are going great. The team is playing great. But if Devontae Smith looks at his numbers and they're really down, way down compared to the other receivers in the league, he's not going to be that happy about it. I don't know, is he going to complain loudly? But he's going to let it be known, or as soon as the Eagles start to slip just a little bit, he's going to become pretty loud about it. You would think that would be with any receiver.
Sure.
I would agree. But again, if we're playing make-believe on that and the Eagles start off 7-1, my thought is that Devontae Smith is going to be very involved to be able to get to that point because he's going to have to be. They're not going to be able to go 7-1 by just running the football and not throwing to their receivers. They're going to have to take advantage of all of their weapons. So if they do go 7-1, I'd be willing to bet that Devonta Smith is going to be, have pretty good numbers. Now, I look at it the other way. Devonta Smith has got better numbers than A.J. Brown, and they're 7-1. that A.J. Brown could do a little clamoring for the ball a little bit more. And I think that to a certain extent, that's good. I like it that they want the ball, as long as it doesn't become a distraction or something that becomes more like a cancer. Like we're winning games and you're not throwing me the ball and I'm angry about it. No, I think that that's got to be done more in house. You can't make that public knowledge. But there again, if you're 7-1. The fan base will not be very receptive to somebody crying about not getting the ball.
Right.
Right. But at the end of the day, it's all about the team. And you take what the Bills did yesterday. Would you guys agree, as far as Bills Nation is concerned, it's Super Bowl victory, not just get there, Super Bowl victory or bust. It's all or nothing.
I mean, I don't know.
So than any other team in the NFL, all or nothing.
I don't know about that, Jack. I think that the Bills, if they do win the championship, which they should, I think that's almost as good. I mean, I think they're still going to be.
Well, when you say championship, what do you mean? Go to the Super Bowl?
The AFC, go to the Super Bowl and not win.
Yes.
And losing the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
you think the fan base will be satisfied? They won't consider the year. Maybe they won't consider the year to be a failure. You go to a Super Bowl, you lose. They're disappointed, but they take something out of the year. Okay, I'll backtrack a little there. But if they get eliminated in the AFC Championship game, I don't care what the circumstance is. I think the year is going to be looked at. I hate to use the word as a failure, especially if they have a great record. Let's say they go 15-2 and lose in the AFC Championship game. I don't want to say it eliminates all the good that would happen. There'd be major disappointment there, more so than I think, just about any other team.
Well, I think that there would be tremendous disappointments, but I also believe that the Bills Mafia is a really strong fan base, and I think that it'll play a part in terms of how upset and depressed they are in the grand scheme of things. But ultimately, they're not going to stop rooting for their team. They would be able to
they'll be loyal. No, of course they're going to be loyal. But guys, this is a flat out stat you can't get away from. The Buffalo Bills have never won a Super Bowl.
That's true.
They've never won a Super Bowl. Okay, and think how long the Super Bowl's been going on. What, 55 of them?
Yeah.
They haven't won one. I mean, it was great. They went to 4 in a row. That's part of the history. On reflection, Bills Nation is proud of that they went to 4 in a row. But the bottom line is they haven't won one. And the 4 in a row they went to was ages ago.
Well, there you go. They have the same issues that the Eagles had in the NFC East, that everybody else has won in the AFC East except them. Even the Jets have one.
Yeah.
Miami's got 2. New England's got 6. So, I mean, that's tough to really compete against. But, and the Bills have 0. They've been there 4 times and haven't won.
The Eagles won one a few years ago.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That was the same problem that we had. It was that was the joke. That was the one of the things that went away the moment that we won that Super Bowl. All of those jokes about the rings, because you can't combat those jokes. Those jokes are not funny to you because you can't go up against them. When a Cowboy or a Giant or even a Redskins / Commanders fan would say, how many rings do you guys have? Now they could go ahead and say, how many rings do we have now? But at least we got one. You know what I mean? When you say, that we don't have any rings, it hurts more than you want it to.
Guys, 2 teams haven't even, who've been there since the start of the Super Bowl, haven't gone to the Super Bowl. The Cleveland Browns and the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
And they don't look like they're going there this year. Detroit. Listen, the Detroit fans, I'll tell you, I'm not saying they're good fans, don't get me wrong, but I think they're used to losing. I think
They are
a little too tolerant of losing.
As I show some of the, I am staying with the Detroit Lions super fan here, and I just wanted to show you some of the things that he's got, and he's got Detroit Lions stuff all over the place.
Man, oh man, I'll tell you, he has no embarrassment. I like that guy.
He loves his
Well,
team.
you know what, and that is all the Detroit Lions fans. I mean, they have a very strong fan base. As like I said, they've been dealing with a lot of loss.
Wow,
and it's hard. I mean, think about trying to be a fan of this team with Matt Millen being the GM. Oh my God, I would have taken a potato gun to that, to that whole building. So
Detroit, they have the Tigers, are one of the worst teams in baseball. They have the Pistons. Good young players, but still one of the worst teams in the NBA right now.
Yeah, and they won the NBA championship too, Jack. So I mean, they do have something.
Well, the bad boys were a while ago. Yeah, I'm a believer. You win a championship, it should hold you over for the next decade. I mean, don't complain a couple of years later. Enjoy what you did. I mean, that's one thing that I understand what Keith Hernandez maybe meant to say about Philadelphia fans. They're like kind of sometimes miserable in a way. They have their Eagles who won the Super Bowl. Enjoy it. Instead, everyone is ticked off when the Eagles, have a losing season. They get mad. They want changes. Doug Peterson is rode out of town. Thankfully he got a job with the Jaguars.
It looks like Pags don't agree with you at all on that, Jack.
I don't, but I'll let him talk because he's got a New York state of mind. He's in that Billy Joel mode, so I'm all right with that. And speaking of somebody who doesn't know what it's like to have a championship, let's bring on Byron Williams. He didn't win any Super Bowls while he was playing, but Giants did get one soon afterwards. So
yes, he set him up.
He should have been on that team.
Yeah, listen, he can't just be going and having practice with anybody else. I mean, Parcells was very upset that he wasn't up there with the Giants.
Yeah, it was bad timing but hey, life happens.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Listen. I mean,
but you know what? I did have a lot of the teammates. They wanted me to fly to Pasadena. They wanted me to be there, and it was one of those moments of where when you're in your 20s, you're pretty dumb. You don't know everything.
Of course, you should go. Of course, you should go.
Man, I was dumb in my 30s and 40s. I mean, beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I'm almost 50 and I'm still dumb. So, it's like it's just I don't call it dumb. I just call it life.
Yeah.
Well,
you learn a lot. You really do.
I can't say that, guys. I'm sorry. I can't say that. So.
There you go. Well, listen, Byron, obviously we started football yesterday. And it was an interesting game, to say the least. It wasn't the cleanest of games. This definitely won't go into the books as one of the best games ever played. What are some of the things that you would be able to take away from watching yesterday's game?
Well, first of all, everybody was excited about the game. I'm pretty sure it was well watched across the country. But also, that's why we have preseason games. That's why I think preseason kind of tune up and fine-tune the teams. I think the Rams missed out on a lot of that by not playing their veterans during the preseason. And so some of the timing was off for us, the Rams. That their expectation wasn't there, and they made a lot of mistakes. But you got to give credit to Buffalo Bills. They played a heck of a game. Josh Allen let everybody know he's one of the top players in the NFL, and it really showed. And it was good to watch and see that Buffalo hadn't missed a beat. I mean, they should have went to the Super Bowl last year. So it was a good game, and I think it really a good game to kick off the NFL season for 2022.
Byron, am I correct? Nothing compares to game conditions. You could have all the scrimmages against another team you want, all the practice, but nothing compares to playing the game. And my theory is, as the season goes along, certain teams and players, they're going to shed a lot of their rust and they're going to get better. It's hard. This kind of was like they're not as ready week one as they're going to be late on in the season.
Absolutely, it's an 18-week schedule. You have one week off, but it's a long season. But if you're a veteran team like the Rams, it's just one game, so it doesn't really dictate anything. But you really wanted some momentum going into the season. But every year we see teams win at the beginning and start losing at the end, or vice versa. But it's one of those things to where you got to be prepared each and every week. So that's what the game allow you to be ready. You got to be prepared. One thing I can say about some of the teams I've been on that's been successful is that it's all about preparation. It's clearly about not making mistakes, and it's clearly about being prepared to play.
What happened to Jalen Ramsey, future Hall of Fame in my view? I think he'll get there someday. He seemed to get torched yesterday. He seemed to be lost. Let's put it another way. If you didn't know that was the great Jalen Ramsey, you'd think it was some rookie who you have to bench or someone you have to cut. He just seemed lost out there. It was shocking.
Yeah, and I think too, he's sometimes he's done played the game quite a bit, and these receivers just as good as he is now. So you got to step and play the game. That's why you don't talk a whole lot. Even though he's been there for, he's been considered one of the best couple guys in the National Football League. But, each and every week you're going to get tested. So you have to still be able to perform at the top level. But, of course, he underestimated a couple of throws and a couple of routes. And I think his time is not quite there yet. But he's still considered one of the best defensive backs in the National Football League. But, each and every week you're going against the best. You got to be best prepared. I think he wasn't quite prepared last night.
Byron, what would you say is the biggest difference between a wide receiver and a cornerback, and how when you start to go and you start to figure out, obviously when you got that speed and you got some hands and you're able to kind of do that, what makes the final decision besides a coach that says, I'm going to play defense or I'm going to play offense? We always make the joke that, hey, if he could catch the ball, he'd be playing offense. But I don't know that that's really the case there. Is that really the case, or is it more involved than that when you're talking about, hey, I mean, Jalen Ramsey's been listed as a great cornerback. When I think of Stephon Diggs, I think of the brother that he had. That's why, the one was going to be a receiver, the other brother covered him. And right. That's how they became NFL, both got into the NFL. I'm kind of asking, because you were a wide receiver, did you ever think about becoming a cornerback?
Well, I was always say safety. In fact, everybody recruited me as a safety, defensive back, but I wanted to play wide receiver because I just thought catching the ball was a little bit more exciting than just defending people. And then having to tackle those big running backs. So I chose the opposite side. But a lot of guys is very interchangeable, can play probably both positions. Trayvon Diggs, you mentioned them. Trayvon Diggs and Stephon Diggs, they've been battling each other ever since they've been living, and I think they're best prepared. And I think a lot of people have to realize, I think playing a defensive back or cornerback, you have to have a little bit more tenacity for is trying to be a complete player on the field, because you have to tackle. And those running backs sometimes make you change your mind when they come up there and they put that forearm up under your throat and someone can run over you. But a lot of those guys can't hardly catch, and that's why they choose to play defensive backs. But you're talking about some of the best gifted athletes ever you want to see is some defensive backs. And I think time and time again, a receiver is not quite as overall gifted, but they can get away with a lot of skill sets for us catching the ball, running routes, and things like that. Some guys can catch over their right shoulder and catch, with the back, across the shoulders and things like that. But being a defensive back, you got to have rotating hips. You got to be fast on your feet. You got to be on your toes a lot of the times. And, you got to have pretty good upper body strength because of the bump and runs and things like that. But I'm thinking that both athletes, a wide receiver and a defensive back, is probably the most I think they're the most well-trained and in shape athletes. And overall for skill sets, because there's a lot of things have to happen, as a receiver as a defensive back.
And two names come to my mind when we're talking about this. The very underrated Troy Brown with the Patriots, who used to play both ways and on returns and all that, and Deion Sanders, right? So,
right.
They both went both ways and both very successful at it.
Right. Now, those guys can also be return specialists as well for his punt return, kickoff returns, and just put them out there on the football field, just let them go. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Byron, what did you take out of yesterday's game? People are going to say, well, the Rams weren't quite as prepared the first game. I mean, they were prepared, but they're going to get it together. Why did the Buffalo Bills have it together? They're in peak form right now. Right off the bat, and the Rams weren't. So it just seemed that the Bills were more focused, more ready to play. I mean, what do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I think it's the leadership and the coaching. I think, they flew across the country. They were just, it was zeroed in on everything they had to do. They were 9 out of 10 on third downs. Even though they had 4 turnovers on offense, they was ready to play. And, they had more excitement. Seemed like the Rams were still thinking about the Super Bowl and wasn't quite there yet. And, Sean McVay made the number one objective. The number one objective said, "Hey, it was my fault. We weren't ready. We weren't really prepared." So, it's a lot of things that I like teams that don't say excuses, don't have excuses. And the Rams just weren't prepared. I think they'll be prepared from this point on. I think they seen what they have to do to be ready to compete in the National Football League. And they know that. And I just think the Buffalo Bills is going to be tough to beat. And everybody's saying that, if they can stay healthy, man, the defense played well. They just had a complete game. And really the first game is one of those games where you can kind of say, this is what we need to do. This is what the adjustment that we need to make. But I still think, too, it's about preparation. It's about the coaches. And it's about to being that, all three, the special team, offense, and defense, have to be ready to, to make things happen. And I think, Buffalo Bills made a statement last night to everybody that, hey, this is the team to beat.
Yeah, Aaron Donald or Von Miller. I mean, even there was this kind of mini competition going on between them. It seemed to be like a fun thing. Because, I mean, Von Miller now is with Buffalo, but considering it was with the Rams, there's some good feeling amongst the players, even though I don't know if players feel a feeling of abandonment because he went elsewhere. But Von Miller's actually chasing history, signing with the Buffalo Bills, because if the Bills win the Super Bowl, he's the first player in NFL history to be a part of 3 Super Bowl winning teams. Yeah. Think of that, with Denver, the Rams, and Buffalo. And they were trying to recruit OBJ there, Von Miller reportedly, to come to Buffalo. And OBJ had on his Rams gear yesterday, giving a hint he's going to go back to the Rams. But, of course, you never know.
Yeah, and no doubt. That's the beautiful thing about being a free agent and sign a short-term deal. You can pick and choose teams that you want to go to. Yeah. And Von Miller have done that. And really, just listen to his teammates saying some of the good things about the conversation that they're having in the locker room, practice, and things like that. I think that goes a long way with maybe setting up the team for getting the mindset ready for to make a Super Bowl run. Now you got Von Miller with all his experience, and now that's extra added conversation in the locker room and in practice. And I think that helped the whole team morale for us getting ready to play the game of football.
Yeah, that was sort of like when Charles Haley came to the Cowboys, right? He had all those great years with San Francisco. So, it's a welcome. It's a welcome for that.
I still see that with Charles Haley now, even when he's doing stuff in the school district over in Dallas and some of the things that he do. He having a big golf tournament this week, and he having a lot of Hall of Fame guys come in. But he's highly respected. when you hear Jim Jeffcoat talk about Charles Haley and what he brought to the Dallas Cowboys when he came back in the 90s, that's kind of what Von Miller's doing right now for Buffalo Bills. Leadership, good conversation all week with locker room conversation and talk, and it's just a good morale. It really helped the players that hadn't been there yet to see the overall picture of what you have to do and how you need to prepare.
We keep hearing about special teams, how important it is, but the Rams let Johnny Hekker go, one of the great punters in NFL history. So I don't get it. It always seems like if a coach wants to make a move or something, they look towards, key special team guys. They seem to be more expendable, like a punter, field goal kicker. And I just don't get it. I mean, because field position is telling us that field position isn't as important as it used to be because the game has changed. So if a punter could give you an extra 5 yards on a kick, it's not as important as it used to be because the field gets stretched a little more. I mean, that's the message that's basically being sent out.
Yeah, and kickers and punters is always been one of the positions where they can change you out pretty quick, and that's one of the things that I know Bill Parcells did a lot. He thought that was one position. Those was a position that they could really make changes, and I think that's what happened, and that's part of the game. But kicks and ball and field position is very important for us punt and hang time and all of that. But some teams look into that, but most teams now are more excited about scoring points and bringing in skill set of players differently than ever before. So the game have changed a lot too. So,
Byron, who did you pick to win the Super Bowl this year? I know you picked Arizona last year, and you looked good for a while.
Well, I know I picked Buffalo over the Rams other night when we was talking. Right,
you picked
Pat?
The Rams.
Hey, Pat, did I call the right team the other night when we was?
No, that's okay. If you picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl,
I ain't picked the Rams. I picked Buffalo.
He picked Buffalo. He picked Buffalo. He thought that it was
Buffalo over who?
I picked Buffalo.
The Eagles.
Buffalo over.
I think the Eagles I think the Eagles gonna win the NFC East. I know that they are loaded this year, and I just think. But it's going to be hard to beat Buffalo, I think.
You're just a homer, Byron. You played for Philly, so that's what all that is.
Yeah, Philly still got a heartbeat, in my heart. So, yeah, I got to root for them, too. So, got to root for Philly.
Which game Sunday? Does any one game intrigue you more than any other game on Sunday? There are obviously a lot of good matchups, but what game might intrigue you the most?
I kind of want to see what Baker Mayfield going to do against Cleveland at home.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I think he's going to be fired up and ready to go. But I want to see what the Giants going to do in Tennessee against the Titans to see it. And of course, everybody here talking about Tom Brady. That's all I've been hearing all week, Tom Brady, and how will the Dallas Cowboys play Sunday night. So it's gonna be some interesting matchup, to get the NFC season kicked off. But I just think I just want to relax and have fun and watch teams play and get back to the feel of football in the air. Last night we was at Texas Live with a lot of NFL players, and it was a lot of fans there and a lot of excitement. So it's good to hear people talk about football,
Which quarterback do you think has the most pressure on him week one? It wouldn't have been last night between Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen. Every quarterback has pressure, but which one quarterback really has to perform really well? His team has to win, and he has to perform.
But everybody talking about Kirk Cousins, the Minnesota Vikings. I think they're in a position to make some changes. And Green Bay, of course, they playing Green Bay. But I think too, New Orleans quarterback needs to.
Jameis Winston there.
Yeah.
Don't you think Russell Wilson might have the most pressure because they're going to Seattle, and everyone expects Denver to beat Seattle? And if Russell Wilson should have a really bad game, and heaven forbid the Seahawks beat the Broncos, all the hopes of the Bronco fan base, I won't say it disappears, but they're like thrown for a loop. Like, what? This was supposed to be a new era, and we can't even win a game on the road against the lowly Seattle Seahawks, especially his old team.
Yeah, and I think Russell Wilson gonna go up there and blow them up out of the water, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that game. But I just think Seattle just don't have the personnel. They don't have the quarterback. I don't know if they have leadership. I mean, they didn't sign Wagner back.
Pete Carroll's they have leadership between Jamal Adams on defense, DK Metcalf on offense. They've got a couple of impact veterans, so I think those guys should be the leaders. Whether they'll be good leaders, I don't know. Daniel Jones, he's really under the microscope. Some people are already calling for Tyrod Taylor to replace him, and Tyrod Taylor is not a long-term answer.
Exactly, he's not, and I just think they shouldn't throw Daniel Jones on the bus like that, because I just think too, injuries and some of the things have happened with the coaches changes and with the Giants, and I just think Daniel Jones deserves more. But that's what you have to deal with when you play in New York. You got to be ready to hear it all from everywhere, because everybody knows football and they crazy about the Giants in New York. So when you playing a quarterback with the Giants, you better be ready to take on all conversation and be able to have a good strong shoulder, because that's what you get with the fans in New York.
One of the things that I saw yesterday, and to go back to a little bit to the game from yesterday, is that two things specifically. One, hunger is a real emotion in football, and if you're hungry for a championship, it's going to come through in the play. The Bills showed that much more than St. Louis. LA showed it. The other thing that I saw was that the Rams looked old. They looked old. It looked like that's what happened in the offseason. Last year, they made it to the Super Bowl. They had an older team to do it.
Right.
This year, they looked old. This game, they specifically looked old. And minus a couple of specific plays where, like I said, you first had Von Miller sack on that first drive, he had a sack. The very next time that he went out to throw a pass, Donald got his sack as well. So it was I like the gamesmanship between there, and that showed me the hunger that you could have. Like I said, Donald's a great player. He showed that hunger on that one play. But obviously, both these quarterbacks played poorly. But it looked to me that LA looked old and Buffalo looked hungry, that they are really in this for the to get to the Super Bowl, and that's that is a real emotion.
And also just to celebrate winning the Super Bowl, they still had a little bit of that, thinking about last year what happened. You got it's a whole new chapter now. You got to be ready to go ahead and move forward.
I thought your first quarterback that would come to mind under most pressure would be Baker Mayfield, right? I mean, he's going up there against his old team, did a lot of talking, and if he doesn't perform well, they're going to turn against him. Yeah,
exactly. And I think if Chris McCaffrey, if he's healthy, and I think they shouldn't have no excuses now with the Panthers, because even the coach is on, need to make sure that he can start winning some games over there in Carolina as well.
Yeah. Rules.
Well, you forget, you talk about shedding the rust. People forget the Panthers started 3-0 last year.
Yeah.
And then what did they go 2-12 the rest of the season?
Yeah.
So talk about a team just kind of falling off. I mean, realistically, all quarterbacks are under a certain degree of pressure. I mean, even Aaron Rodgers, not for one or two games, not even for a few games, but to finally win another Super Bowl, because it's taken forever, for him to get back. Tua's under pressure just to improve. Certain quarterbacks under pressure just to get a little better. If they show improvement, they're going to be fine. You know, a Patrick Mahomes, he's not really under pressure. He could have a so-so year, and he's not going anywhere. But it's supposed to be a good draft of college quarterbacks, and the Giant GM, Joe Shine, was reportedly, checking out Stroud, from Ohio State to see how he might fit in. Would they be in a position to draft him? So, it's interesting. But, Mac, you were right a year ago, I should say. The crop of college quarterbacks, with the exception of Trevor Lawrence, who everyone was making a big deal out of. And we're not even sure about Trevor Lawrence yet. You didn't think much of it all, but because they were available, everyone thought, oh, we got to grab them because we need a quarterback. Okay, yeah. It's like you need to get you need to go shopping. You want to get some nice clothes. So you look at the rack and you're getting the best clothes the store has, but the store's clothes might not be that good to begin with. You're getting the best of the worst.
Right.
Basically. Right. And you were right with the college quarterbacks. I feel for them. Justin Fields, what the heck's going to happen with him this year with the Bears? I just don't see him progressing with a team like that. I don't know how good he is. I mean,
you can throw Trey Lance in there with him too, right? I mean,
people don't realize it's a big step. It's a big step to make going from college to the NFL. It might take 2 to 3 years. I mean, just look at Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he sat on the bench almost 3 to 4 years before he started playing because of Brett Favre. But those are some of the transition that you have to make for the speed of the game, the playbooks, learning all the physical plays, the adjustment that you have to make, and keeping your body healthy as well. I mean, you talking about guys pulling muscles right now, hamstrings, because they're not really ready coming out of the offseason. So it's still a lot of things that's in the equation that players have to make sure they're ready and prepared for.
Yeah. Byron, I want you to settle a debate that Mac and Pags have been having, arguing back and forth. I've kept out of it. Mac feels that Minshew should be starting as the Eagle quarterback, and Pags is firmly in Hurts's corner. Yeah. How long do you stay with Hurts? You stay with him all season? Mac would start Minshew right now if he were the coach. He would give him the starting position because Mac's not fooling around. He feels it's inevitable. The Eagles are going to have to go to Minshew anyway. So why waste time? That's what Mac feels.
Well, he's just trying to do anything he can to make sure that his Giants look better. But don't worry, they still look bad.
Okay. Yeah, you got to have Jalen Hurts. You got to have Jalen Hurts in the equation. You got to try to build your team, make your mind up, and build your team up around him. But if you want to go in a different direction, I agree with Mac. But I think Jalen Hurts is definitely it's his team. It's his team right now, and I think they should just continue to stay focused on what they need to do since they added all these extra good players to the team. So
come on. I mean, what do you want? I mean, this is your time to shine, buddy. And I don't know. I just don't.
Well, if you rooting for the Giants, you're gonna root for Matthew. So I see what Matt's saying.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
No one talks about now the worst nightmare for the Philadelphia Eagles that they can have. Worst nightmare because the Eagle fans don't want to think about it. They're in denial. Carson Wentz is in their division. And Carson Wentz, the Washington Commanders, he might be a fixture for years to come in that division. And he could haunt the Philadelphia fan base for years and years because he was their guy.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's going to be interesting in the NFC East this year. I think, the teams, it might week to week, it's going to be something exciting to happen. I can just feel it. And I just hope injuries is not a key factor. I just hope it'll be a good competitive battle in the NFC East because I think that it's a small fraction with these teams. And but I do think physically right now, I do think the Eagles have the edge. The Cowboys is overrated, and I think the Giants go surprise some people. And of course, Carson Wentz got the experience, and the head coach with Washington, Commandos, he's about winning games, and they will be really prepared, I think, to play a lot of teams.
You know how it is when a player gets older. You know, they all get older, slow down. What's Jason Peters? 40 years old. I mean, an Eagle
41.
legend. He gets picked up. 41. He gets picked up by the Cowboys. They put him on, I think, the practice squad. You know, to get him in game shape to move him up.
But
to the,
I think that just goes to show you how important the offensive line and having some experience and bringing somebody like that onto your team, which add value because of some of the young players and some of the things Dallas, some of the mistakes that they made with their offensive linemen, not signing a couple of key guys. I think that then caught them short-handed. So you have to bring somebody in like that. But you know, he played 10 games last year with Chicago, or maybe more games with Chicago. But I just think that was maybe a pretty good move on Dallas' behalf. But yet you still got to go out and play the game and see if they're gonna be the formula for you to come in and be a winner this opening week against Tampa Bay.
Yeah. When you're talking about Dallas, the reporter Zach Prescott got some type of cleats in his ankles and now bothering him.
Yeah, it's some new cleats.
I mean, what is this new cleats? I mean, come on.
We talked about
these experts on equipment. We work out as citizens, go to the gym, and we don't get injured as much as these guys who have all these trainers.
Well, we talked about that last week, that the turf, the fields are different, and the shoes. And a lot of people don't know, if you wear some different shoes on some of these fields, it just ain't gonna make it happen. And your torque and your twist and your movement have to be on point. You can't wear any kind of shoes on these fields anymore. So and we talked about the Dallas Cowboys football field. I just think too, a lot of players get hurt on that Dallas Cowboys football field. I don't care who you just look at the past 4 or 5 years and seeing the knees and the ankle injuries out there on that football field.
Max said it best a while ago. You say, oh, look at all the injury. Years ago, these guys didn't get injured the way they did today. They were real men, the guys in the NFL. Don't tell me they didn't play just as hard. They weren't injured.
But you know what, though, Jack?
The guy gets a little hangnail, he's out for a game. They're not
but Jack, everybody played on the same surface back in the day. Everybody played on grass, natural grass. And everybody grew up playing on natural grass, so it was something that we was accustomed to. Versus now, these fields have different flexibility and comfort level. I mean, you see guys slipping, you see all this the rubber flying up and all this stuff is splashing and on these football fields. So it's a different game. And then these shoes are so light. Some of these shoes you can twist your ankle in a heartbeat.
Whoa! So you tell me, remember the way Gale Sayers ran with the ball? You tell me it's a different way. How are they running any different than he was? I'm
not saying the athletes are running different. I'm saying the footing and the fields are different. That's what I'm saying.
But you see people out for so long. When you broke how long were you out for?
When I broke my ankle?
Jaw.
Your ankle? Oh, I thought you broke your jaw.
No, it wasn't Byron's
I broke my jaw against the Redskins. I broke my jaw.
You were back in there the next week, right? You threw a little dirt on it, and you were back out there the following week. I'm so tired of hearing about these, oblique strains.
Did you come back the following week, Byron?
Yeah, I came back the following week. They put a shield on. They put a shield.
They were tougher. Today, the guy would be out at least 6 weeks.
Jack, I didn't hardly eat all week. They put a shield over my helmet, and guess what? I had all the blocking assignment. So. I wasn't. They didn't even put me on the injury reserve.
Yeah.
Bill Parcells wouldn't even let a guy who couldn't play, couldn't show up and be on the sideline to encourage his team. He didn't want him there. Either you play or don't be there.
No, that 3-13 season, his first year, he sent those guys home. He sent the injury reserve guys home because he said, you can go and you're not going to play anyway. We don't want you in the locker room. So that's what he did.
And
right. You don't want that to start to permeate into a cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what happens. Where like that Rolling Stone gathers no moss, but when you're something in motion seems to tend to stay in motion. Something at rest stays at rest. I get that whole thought process because It almost
Yeah.
creates a laziness atmosphere.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens when you start losing and then that all that negativity is in the locker room. You never can get out of that.
And we haven't talked about as far as the field conditions go and all that stuff. Back when the Giants were playing in the big championship, they changed into sneakers and didn't use the high spikes because they got better grip, and that's what led them to romping them.
Exactly. Yeah. Back in the day, you had 2 or 3 different shoes. Sometimes you take out the other football field and you just make the changes, and then and that's what good players do.
Byron, yes or no? Saquon Barkley, comeback player of the year.
Yes. Because I think you'll see a lot of guys who have knee injuries come back and have good seasons. So I say yes.
Because it would be between him and McCaffrey.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be too good because both of them guys, heck of a players. They are amazing talent.
Should the award should it be based on a guy coming back from an injury, or should it be based on a guy who didn't play that great the year before and then had a resurgence? That's kind of like an interesting question.
I think it's based off of injuries. I think coming off the injury, and I think injury coming off an injury.
And will somebody tell me why they keep wanting McCaffrey to run up the middle, and just let him run outside where he can use his speed and stuff? I mean, he gets injured all the time just doing that.
Exactly. I don't see why some of these coaches put these running backs or the receivers in positions that they shouldn't be in. I said this all the time. You got to play to the favoritism of the guy's skill set and his talent. And I would definitely keep him on the outside. I would definitely move him around, create mismatches. And that's the same thing they did with CeeDee Lamb here in Dallas. They do that
with McCaffrey. I think they tried to do that with McCaffrey before.
I don't think so. They didn't utilize him to. I think that's why he got hurt. I think that's they put a heavy load on him.
Yeah,
and again, because they're not using like I formations anymore. They don't have that fullback that's going to go in and blast the line. You're requiring your running back to actually do that, or to find the hole and then try to get into that hole really quickly. And there's just too much speed where you see a hole and then a third of a second later that hole is closed. And unless you got in there that fast, it's rare that you were able to make that happen. And that's what the purpose of having a fullback was, to blast that hole open, to at least push it past. And you were running up the rear end of the fullback, but that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, and a good example there was Moose Johnson and Emmitt Smith. I mean, Moose, he was a heck of a blocker, and he always led in. And Joe Morris and all those guys who had some pretty good years, they always had that fullback. You're exactly right.
Yeah, but also if there was a 4th and 1, they didn't give it to Emmitt. They gave it to Moose.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because he would be the one that would blast in there. They didn't worry about giving it to Emmitt. They didn't want it to go back 7 yards. They wanted to go back 3 yards and then just put the meat into there. Because when it went back 7 yards, they got stopped a couple of times, like in that Eagles game.
Yep, that's a good point. That's a good point.
And
you really pinpointed it there. You talking about the Eagle game?
Right. And Pepper, and the same thing happened with Jabil Peppers. I think when they put him back on the punt squad, every time he come back to return punts, he got hurt. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Byron, who are you picking to win the Giants at Tennessee?
Oof.
I mean, are you coming on Sunday on the show? If you're coming on Sunday, you could wait till then to give your pick.
Well, I'm picking. Well, it's gonna be a last second play. It's gonna be a last second play, and I hope the Giants can be in a position to make that last play and get the people in New York excited. Get the people in New York excited, because everybody picking the Titans. I think this is going to be the upset game. This is going to be the upset game of the week. I'm telling you that.
You're telling me I could see Byron next week. Let's say the Giants lose on a field goal at the end. You'll say, well, they took a lot out of this game. They took something that's going to help them going forward. All right, that's talk for losers.
This is what I'm telling you. This is what I'm telling you, Jack.
W.
This
Nothing
could be the
replaces a
upset game of the
W.
week. I'm telling you right now.
Game of the week?
Upset,
let me tell you
upset
this.
game. Upset game.
Oh, you're saying,
Everybody pick the Titans. Everybody gonna pick the Titans.
Well, if they beat the Titans, it means Derrick Henry has lost a step. He lost a step in the playoffs. People said he was coming back from an injury. He's had the whole off
Way too soon.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's keep an eye on Derrick Henry if he's not the same, whether he's going to be the same player or not.
But let me say this.
He will be.
Let me say this. They gave him $2 more million, so he's making $14 million. He's the highest paid running back this year. So he got to go out there. He gonna run his butt off this week because they just gave him some money. But I think if the Giants just stay in the box, they stay in that box. I think they're gonna put a hat on that butt. Yeah. I think he's gonna have a hard time getting 120 yards.
Well, Mike Vrabel is most like Bill Parcells of all the coaches because he really got on Malik Willis. He's a rookie and he wants to, what's with this guy? He doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. Like he wants him throwing the ball and not running with the ball, and he got ticked off at him.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you,
Alan. Alan is just trying to kiss butt. That's okay. We'll let Alan try to kiss some butt.
And
thank you, Alan. I appreciate that.
Yes. And the way you stop Derrick Henry, if there is a way, is you got to get him before he starts running upfield. You got to hit him in the backfield and gang tackle that dude, or he's going to break out. So, I mean, that's the only chance I can see them of controlling Derrick Henry.
I think the Giants going to control him because the defensive line is going to be the key factor. We can't let him get that momentum.
We talk about receivers with the Rams undergoing a little bit of a facelift, having lost maybe a step, a Super Bowl hangover. The Titans now have Robert Woods. He, got injured last November. He wasn't there for the playoffs, but that could be a key, pickup for the Titans. And maybe the Rams should have held on to Robert Woods.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, are y'all going to let me come on Sunday and pick my teams? Y'all want me to come on?
Of course I'm going to, Byron. I wouldn't leave you out of this. I can't wait to laugh when you're done. So I can't wait.
Byron picked the Bills over the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
It's a good pick.
I think. Was that his pick? Okay.
Well, I picked the Bills over the Rams, too. So I know a little bit about football.
The Rams in the Super Bowl.
I'm going to do my homework this weekend, so I'll be ready Sunday night.
I picked the Packers to go to the Super Bowl and lose to the Bills.
Oh, come on.
All right, so real quick before we let you go and go to a commercial break, I just got to ask real quickly, who won the fantasy draft on Wednesday night?
Well, my team looked pretty good. I mean, Sneaky Pete said he won, but I'm telling you, Stephon Diggs is my receiver, so I got off to a good start. Cooper Kupp.
So did I. Actually, I got off to a good start too because I had Kupp. And he had just as many points.
I was going to say you and I are looking really good because of Diggs and Kupp.
Yeah.
Well, they said they have me slated to go 15-0. I got an A+ rating.
They gave me a C, but they don't know that. Hey, Justin Herbert gonna flip out. Watch, he gonna be the guy that really gonna get me over the edge. Justin Herbert.
Yeah, that was the only decrease they said they gave me in my choices. That fact that I didn't take a quarterback until round 8. That was the only thing that I had wrong with my that I have the best running backs. I have the 4 best receivers. Obviously, they didn't put Diggs in the top 4, but that I got an A+, and that I'm to go 15-0, and I have a 25% chance of winning the championship. Fantasy football.
Yeah,
fantasy football.
Me and Jack.
Well, I like mine. Jonathan Taylor, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs. They're gonna put me over the top.
And take Garrett Wilson. He's your dark horse with the Jets.
Yeah, there's no Jets.
You know what?
There's no Jets.
Nobody picked the Jets, Jack. I'm sorry.
Not one Jet was picked.
That's the deep and wide receivers. They spread the ball around. That doesn't help for fantasy.
Yeah, they are deep. They're in the deep end, and they are
Cool.
sinking very quickly.
Drowning.
Like
So-
more there, you know.
Well, listen, Byron, thank you so much for coming on and with us on another Thursday episode. This is actually
Cheerios.
Friday. I'm sorry, Friday episode of the Mac and Jack Show. We'll see you now on Sunday, where we get to hear your choices and you get to pick your suicide pick for
The
who's
new
going to win, who's going
president,
to lose.
the new president of the Players Association sitting right there.
Yeah, we
Hey,
keep.
you guys are
Honestly, I
great.
wasn't going to say nothing because the last time he's like, oh, yo, keep it down, hush, hush. Like I said, I already sent in my video of all of his highlights.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if I want to be president because these guys just wore me out last night here in Dallas, man. These guys are like, it was like a lot of young guys came out last night for the game, and it was good to hear what they had to say. But I don't know if I can last long being the president. It's crazy.
Byron, loud and proud. Go for it, buddy.
Hey, listen, if you need somebody to speak up in your behalf, the loudest guy in the NFL is in this room right here, right now, and I'll be more than happy to stand up for you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm probably gonna need that. I
There
definitely
you go.
need you guys.
There
Hey, you
go.
guys have a great weekend.
You too, Byron. We'll see you on Sunday.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right. And we'll just be right back after these commercial messages. And we will, when we be back, we will have Keith Engel from TGI Sports also talking about everything that happened yesterday in Buffalo, since he lives the closest to there, and how bad the Yankees are going to be. As he disappeared, he just poofed. He's like, oh, I guess I don't want to be a part of that. He's like,
I was channel surfing back and forth between the NFL game and the Yankee game yesterday. What can I tell you?
there you go. Well, and I guess you could cry on both accounts because the Jets wanted the Bills to lose and they didn't, and the Yankees also got beaten. So, but we'll be back after these commercial messages, and we'll have Keith Engel on the other side. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stick with us, folks.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Supporting the needs of our veterans. That's the goal of all of us at Team AmVets. Like Mitch, Carlos, and Kevin from our Welcome Home team that brings furniture to our vets.
We are Team AmVets.
Or Linda from our thrift stores who brings you great bargains every day.
I am Team AmVets.
And John, who picks up your thrift store donations that support California veterans programs.
I am Team AmVets.
Visit our website or a Team AmVets thrift store to donate or shop today.
Join the team!
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready. I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, get it each.
And we are back with the Mac and Jack Show. And also Keith Engel from TGI Sports joins us in the second half of the show. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
Keith, I thought Pags would apologize. You get treated with no respect. Any other guest, he would have rushed to make the time. With you, he keeps you waiting an extra 5-7 minutes. He doesn't do that with any other person coming on. So
Pags,
I'll apologize for Pags.
No, you don't need to. Pags has spent so much time with me the last 2 months. He's probably like, can I get rid of this guy already?
Yeah,
so,
right?
You know.
You know, it's like when I watch it on the Roku channel, the Northeast Streaming Sports, and I take a look at your advertisement, I'm like, wow, you look a lot younger in that.
Well, I was younger then, and
I'm older then. I'm younger than that now. So you know, before we get back to football, since we've been talking about football this entire show, Yankees 4.5. And the dreaded Tampa Bay Rays coming to town.
Oh, Max dangling my Yankee card in front of me.
Yes.
You're close to getting it back.
I am not motivated by such things as a Yankee card or whatever. I will tell you as it is. This is, again, like last week, the biggest. You know, every week we get to the biggest series of the year, and we're there again because the lead's down to 4.5. Yankees are banged up, something terrible, but that's part of what you got to play with in baseball. And they need to go. They need 2 out of 3 this weekend, or we're still kind of snowballing the wrong way.
I'm actually upset with you, Keith, Mack, and Dr. Paul Semendinga, because I've been saying something. I said it early in the year. I haven't said it for a while because I became disillusioned with you guys not getting it. The Yankees needed Gaudy. Brett Gardner. If you listen, yesterday there was a double hit in the gap. Aaron Hicks in left field didn't even come close to getting it. Gaudy would have tracked it down. Florial's in center field. He's letting balls fall in ahead of him. Gaudy makes those plays, and those guys aren't hitting.
If Gardy could play,
at least as good as them, if not better.
If Gardy could play, Gardy'd be on the team. That's it. If Gardy could play, he'd be on a team. He can't play.
No, they didn't want him. They moved on. I mean, come on.
Listen, I'm not telling you the guys that you're.
Also, give me a break. They needed Gaudy, the stability he had, and the good defensive play. And
I'm not telling you those guys you mentioned don't stink, but Gardy would not be. Gardy wouldn't make this team any better. Is my point.
Gaudy was there 14 years. He was there that long for a reason, because he added something. They needed Gaudy all along.
Well, Derek Jeter was there for 20 years. I don't want him back either. He can't play either anymore. So,
yeah. Well, first off, Alan, it would be funny because Texas Rangers stink out loud, really badly,
hilarious,
really badly. So, it would be funny in that regards. But I think it's not even going to matter because the Yankees could be in a wild card position at that point already.
Who knows?
You know,
Going for a wild card. I don't know.
Keith, the other thing, but I got to give you credit for, because, it set off a reaction when Pags mentioned the Texas Rangers, who signed Corey Seager to a 10-year, $325 million contract that comes out to $32.5 million a year, a couple of million more a year than the Yankees offered Aaron Judge. But Mac, of course, says, well, Judge says he wants to be a Yankee. He has a chance.
Loyalty, Jack. Loyalty.
If I'm representing Judge, I'm begging him not to take the deal. Begging him, and he didn't.
Yeah. He just made a whole boatload. He gambled on himself, and he won big time, let me tell you. So, Mac loses.
The fact that 19 home runs ahead of the guy who's in second place, who is Schwarber on the Phillies, and 21 home runs against everybody who's in the AL.
Right.
Now, in a year where again, they were talking about how the baseball either is not being in the humidor right, or it's got a little bit too much of that mud, that special mud that they put on there from Jersey, or whatever it is. It's however you want to say it. He's the only one that seems to be hitting the long ball like he is.
We just had this discussion on the Are You Serious show at the end about Judge, and there's no way Judge is not the American League MVP. You can tell me about Ohtani all you want. He's a great player. He's done something nobody's ever done before, but it's for most valuable player, not the best player, the most valuable player. And there's no way Aaron Judge can't win that award this year. If they do, they don't know what they're doing. If he doesn't, they don't know what they're doing.
Well, this is baseball, though. Baseball always makes bad decisions when it's voting.
I agree.
You're logical, Keith, but keep in mind, A-Rod won it with the Texas Rangers in last place.
And Andre Dawson won with a Cubs team that lost nearly 100 games. So, again, they don't always get it right, to Peg's point, but they should understand what the award is for. Yeah. Right?
100%.
I mean, if you take Ohtani off the Angels, where are they? They're 28 games out of first place now. So how much worse can they be?
Yeah. Well, at least 38 games because
But I'm going to tell you, let's make believe, Keith. Let's make believe 1 second. They changed the name of the award. It's no longer Most Valuable Player Award. It's Best Player Award. Does Judge still get it on this year over Ohtani? If it's Best Player, not Most Valuable.
I'd probably say yes, but I would say it's a much closer vote just because of, look, he's a freak athlete that does something nobody else has ever. He's done something nobody's ever done. Babe Ruth didn't win 10 games and hit 30 home runs.
Nope.
So that's saying something. And I would, if the award was for that, then I would consider him a contender, but not valuable. No.
Yeah, it's not like he's competing for the the MVP of pitching either. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he's won 10 games, which is nice. In this day and age, you should win 15, 16 games if you're a great pitcher. He's a good pitcher. He's a good hitter. Does he even lead his team in home runs?
It's amazing. I think it's very close between him and Trout. And Trout's missed I don't know, 40 games or something. 30 games.
I would have to agree if they were even closer, just closer to the playoffs, I think that Ohtani would wind up winning it.
I agree because the media loves him, so I think he would win. Yes, I do too. But
it's all hypothetical. Gio Urshela, former Yankee, said the Yankees don't have a shot at doing anything in the playoffs. He basically said they're dead in the water. They're going nowhere at all.
That's the Gio Urshela that plays for the Twins that just lost 3 out of 4 to the Yankees.
Well, I mean, is he wrong in what he's saying?
No, but I'm tired of ex-Yankees who couldn't make it here bashing the team. Him, Frazier, shut up. We'll do the bashing here. I'll lose my Yankee card all for myself. You had your chance here. You didn't do it. Be quiet. And by the way, shouldn't he be more concerned about the Twins who should be leading that division and they're losing to the team formerly known as the Indians?
This is for everyone. Who do you think is going to emerge out of that division? Cleveland has a slender lead, a game and a half, and right behind them are the Twins and the White Sox. who eventually comes out of that division.
It's funny. I've been putting a nail in their coffin forever, but I'm starting to think the White Sox will ultimately, if maybe Tony La Russa stays away, because Miguel Cairo's 7-3 now as the interim manager. Maybe if La Russa stays away, the White Sox can sneak in.
I'll have to go with the Twins, Keith. I think they're the.
I picked the Twins to win the division, so he should go there. But I got a soft spot in my heart for Miguel Cairo, former Yankee, that I'd love to see him do well, and maybe he gets that job. Who knows? But I don't know.
I mean, right now, the White Sox and the Twins are both tied.
Yep.
At a game and a half. Actually, it's a virtual tie because the Twins actually have 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
And they're both a game and a half out of away from the Guardians there. And I keep thinking that the Guardians, if the Guardians make the playoffs, that they make a little noise in the playoffs, because I think that their pitching is good enough to be able to do that. And I think that they will actually turn it up a little bit, an extra notch in the playoffs. At least their pitching will. I can't guarantee.
They got to play more. Somebody's got to get more consistent these last 3 weeks to take control there. But I think it's a big series with the Indians and Twins this weekend too. So, I'm sorry, team formerly known as the Indians.
Right. Well, I mean, and it's like, as I keep looking at this, both the Blue Jays and the Rays have won 8 of their last 10. And the Yankees are 5-5 in their last 10, which is actually not so bad in the grand scheme of things. But the 4.5 games is a big deal now. And if they were to get swept by the Rays, which, I mean, isn't out of the realm of possibility, because the Rays just seem to have the Yankees number.
It could happen. They were teetering again on a sweep last weekend. That Sunday game was huge for the Yankees to win. It got them on a little bit of a streak before yesterday. 500's okay, unless the teams are, winning 8 out of 10 behind you. If that continues for the next 3 weeks, the Yankees won't win the division.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
They'll finish about 3 games out. My math's
So
not
what's
very
with
good.
the judge case? So what's with the judge contract? I should ask Max, should the Yankees have increased their offer from what they offered him in spring training?
Come on, Jack. I mean, what does $3 million extra dollars do that that the other money can't cover? I mean, that
It's
was
more than $3 million now.
$3 million, only $3 million more a year.
Yeah, but I mean, listen.
How many years do you give him?
10.
You give him a 10-year deal.
Sure,
Wow.
Sure.
Okay.
Listen, I don't care what you say. That was a fair offer at the time they offered that.
It was fair, but not realistic that he would take it. Not realistic.
He'll get $400 million. He'll get $400 million somewhere. He will.
Yeah. Maybe.
So the Yankees are going to overpay, or he's walking.
Yeah.
On another one of the shows that I watch on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network, they were talking about the 7-year, $340 million, just under $50 million a year, that they would say that they don't think that he will get 50, that they would get like 47, 48, even.
So which team?
That whoever signs Judge, that's going to be the number. They're not saying the Yankees are going to do that.
I mean, LA or Texas probably would do that.
I don't think LA. They have a number high price guys. Either the
if
Giants
Bellinger's doing so bad though right
or the
now,
Mets.
doesn't Judge play center field?
He can.
Right, but they have other
does
high
right
price players on the team, a number of them. So you can only absorb so much, to pay out. I could see Steve Cohn going the route somehow.
If they go for Judge, DeGrom becomes a Philly without a doubt in my mind.
See,
they can't sign both.
Alan Perez agrees with me 100%. Yankees can make whatever they give Judge back in a month. I don't care why it has to be such a big deal. Agreed.
I don't think that it's not a big deal about giving him the money, though, is what he's saying. Give him the money. They will recoup that money.
They could have gotten this deal done 2 years before free agency, or they could have given him they could have treated him as a free agent in spring training when they were negotiating. Make believe he's in the open market. Give him the absolute max offer. Don't cut corners $30.5 million and put it out there. Oh, $213 million.
I don't disagree.
7 years. Fair, but not realistic. They weren't insulting him with the offer, but there's absolutely no way he was going to take that offer. It was a waste of time.
As the face of this franchise, he's worth every nickel he gets from this team because they'll recoup it because it's not just his play on the field. It's people in the stands, it's jerseys, it's TV ratings because they're going to be higher and they're going to be able to get more advertising dollars with Aaron Judge on the team. Plus, there's no logical replacement. Who are you going to bring in here that replaces Aaron Judge? That's going to be free.
Gardy, there you go.
I can't think of anybody. Oh, Gardy.
Yeah,
we can bring Gardy in.
I can think of one player who's going to be a free agent after next season, Ohtani.
After next season.
After next season, right. If Ohtani would be willing to come to the Yankees. I think, guys, we're living in a new era. It used to be where the Yankees could outbid anyone. They had that upper hand. That's no longer the case. The Yankees don't have the upper hand anymore. If anything, the Mets have more of an upper hand than the Yankees do. Steve Cohen's got deeper pockets. So the Yankees are just one of several teams with deep pockets.
I don't know that he's got deeper pockets, Jack, but he's more willing to spend the money. The Yankees have said we're not going to pay luxury tax, and that's that, right?
Steve Cohen has $14 billion. I could guarantee you Hal Steinbrenner does not have $14 billion. Steve Cohen is in a position, he's a big Mets fan. He might think, okay, I'm willing to risk losing $1 billion if I have to.
That's not that. You keep saying that, and that is such a ridiculous statement. That is such a ridiculous statement. But rich people do not just want to blow $1 billion.
He doesn't want to blow it, but he's willing to risk it.
He's not willing to risk that. There's no team that's going to be worth $1 billion to just go ahead and throw it out there and hope you get it back. He's a smart businessman. He doesn't give up money for just nothing. You know what I mean? And $1 billion is
$43 million a year to Max Scherzer for three years. Okay,
correct.
But that shows he's willing to out.
You know what? And now look where he's at right now. He's going to possibly be on the IL going into the playoffs. And you know what $43 million is getting you? Absolutely squat if he doesn't play in the playoffs.
He'll pitch in the playoffs.
I heard he's also signing Keith Hernandez to a broadcast. That's what I heard. I'm not sure what the money is when I find out.
Yeah, the reason why what the holdup in that deal is that he's got to be able to show up to every game. That he can't pick and choose and cry about not showing up to certain games.
Opt out from certain series during the year.
Yeah, exactly. You have to show up for every series, not just the ones you want to.
Oh, but when you have 13 Golden Gloves, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it keeps, like I said, it keeps escalating. 13, it's really 9, but that's all right. And like I said, there was no envy. He had 9. He had 9 Golden Gloves. So Google it, 9 Golden Gloves. And like I said, he was not even an MVP. Never was he an MVP. He wasn't even the most valuable person on his team. He may have been the most valuable guy in the toilet. That's about the only place he was.
Still was co-captain. Still was co-captain, Pags. You got to say
that. Yeah, well, because he got voted as co-captain because his buddy was the one giving him the steroids in his butt. He didn't know what it was. So I don't want to hear about it. He was cheating just like everybody else was.
Okay.
Former MVP with the Cardinals.
He wasn't an MVP with the Cardinals.
Yes,
Co-MVP.
Co-MVP. Yeah,
Co-MVP with Willie Sturgill, 1979.
Yeah. 1979. Yeah. Willie Sturgill really won that. They just they just made him try to feel good. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Should they decide these awards after the season's over, after the playoffs?
Playoffs are not included in. Playoffs are not included.
Shouldn't the whole thing be included from beginning to end?
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think they should, especially the MVP. Definitely. I mean, you should take all the games into consideration for sure.
Oh, by the way, Keith, what do you think the Yankees are honoring Jeter tonight? Isn't it kind of an odd time on a Friday night to honor an icon? Wouldn't you think it would be like a Saturday afternoon? Maybe because they feel college football in the NFL, it's not good. They should have done it early in the season.
I think so. Yeah, I agree. Especially since TV people, you don't even know where to find the Yankees on a Friday night because they could be on Amazon, they could be on Peacock, they could be anywhere.
I found the Yankees on my iPad the other night.
Apple. Yeah, I was going to say Apple TV on Friday.
I'm sorry, Apple, they could be, yeah. Which, by the way, oh, God. Don't ever watch a baseball game on Apple. It's awful.
Yeah, I can't stand it. It's not even a little bit. It's just that's so ridiculous to watch those games there. So let's get back to what's really important in the world of sports, football. Yeah, obviously there was a game yesterday. I know that we had to get up really early in the morning, so I don't know if you got to watch in its entirety.
I did.
There you go. See, you're like me, burn the candle at both ends and still able to show up and do the things, or at least me most of the time. So
that's why I sleep from about 6 until like 9 every night, though. Drive my wife nuts.
That midnight nap, that early evening nap is always a good thing.
Exactly.
But that being said, obviously there was a game yesterday where the Bills just walked all over the Rams, and I just wanted to hear what your thoughts were about that.
I think again, we talked about it a little bit earlier, and I think it's game one. You don't want to get too overexcited necessarily, and I think this was a more important first impression for the Bills than it was for the Rams. The Rams got some issues going on. I think I'm not going to judge their entire season by what I saw last night. There's some problems. They didn't protect the quarterback well at all. 7 sacks. And Stafford, when he had time, wasn't as accurate. They can't run the ball. But look, they had some struggles last year. They got it together and they won the Super Bowl. I think they'll be okay. More importantly, I think the Bills wanted to come out and make a statement last night on the road against the defending champions. This is a team that's better right now to me in all facets of the game. After one game, I get that. But this was a pretty good defensive team they played against, and they had their way with them. Josh Allen was pinpoint accuracy last night. He was like Tom Brady out there, just finding the open guy all the time, not forcing a ball down the field necessarily.
84%.
He took
minus those 2 interceptions.
And he's got weapons up the yazoo. This guy, I mean, there's wide receivers everywhere who can catch the ball. There's guys coming out of the backfield. He played very, very well. The defense, I thought, the same with the offense for a second. The offensive line was much better, I thought. That was a question mark coming into this game. The defense played well, and if they can keep Von Miller interested, like he was interested last night all year, and use him in a way that he doesn't get spent during the course of the year, he's going to be a very valuable addition to that defense, which was already pretty good. No matter what happened to them in the playoffs, this was still one of the higher ranked defenses in football last year.
And as Pags has brought up all the time, the Bills won the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
I mean, when Josh Allen went back to Pax in the pocket, nobody was by him. When he went and he ran with the ball, he picked up enough yards before he did get hit. That offensive line of the Bills played fantastic against a great Ram defensive line.
Yeah, they did. They used Aaron Donald's strength and pass rushing ability against him in a lot of cases, right? And which is the way you have to treat a guy like that. And they did I can't complain about anything. I guess if there was one thing that was maybe a little bit of a downer for them is Cook, their rookie running back, who I was expecting some good things from, and he still may be okay. He fumbled the ball early, and he went into the something similar to the Bill Belichick witness protection program. When you fumble the ball, you never saw him again the rest of the night. So I think he'll still be all right. And they didn't run the ball a lot, but again, they were giving them these these passes that weren't high risk passes, a lot of them. So I think they took what was there, and I think they'll be fine. and maybe Josh Allen should maybe slow down with the designed runs when you're up 3 touchdowns. Don't put yourself at too much risk here.
Yeah, but that's his style, and I mean,
I know that's his game. Mac, you're right. And you can't change the guy, right? I talked about this a bunch of times earlier and on my show at 8, but he seems to love the contact. The guy gets just plastered, and he gets up smiling and laughing. I think he'd be a linebacker if he wasn't a quarterback. I mean, he likes that type of physical play.
Yeah,
very impressed with them last night. They're my Super Bowl pick, and I picked the Rams and the.
Oh, everybody says that now after the first game is played, Keith.
Go back and watch my NFL special the other night. You'll see the pack. In fact, I picked it on your show last Sunday.
That's right.
Before I left, Bills Rams. I said. So
well, and I think you're Jack. You are on mute. But I think that the Bills, they could do great in the beginning of the season as they get when they get in the playoffs. That's where it's going to matter most. And I'm not 100% sold on the fact that they don't get in their own heads against the Chiefs, because it's going to have to go through Kansas City, whether it actually goes through Kansas City itself or it has to go through Buffalo and they have to go up against Kansas City.
Yeah.
It's going to have to go. They got to go through Kansas City to do this, and that's going to be the big test.
Yeah, I do have them matching up in the AFC Championship game myself. So yes, they have to get over that thing in their head with the Chiefs.
So, at the end of the day, it's one game, but you could say it's one game as far as the Rams go. But the feeling is it's not just one game for the Bills. That's the real Buffalo Bill team, okay, that we saw last night. That's the Buffalo Bill team I think we're going to see the rest of the year. Whether they get upended in the playoffs or not, that's going to be the only question. But does anyone have any doubts that they're going to win the division? I mean, it's going to take a team to have a monster year to win the division over the Bills. I mean, I agree. Yeah.
Agreed. My team's there, and I don't see them, within 5 games of them.
Can the Rams get straightened out? But at the end of the day, it is one game. There's enough time to get straightened out. Just remember the way the Packers got blown out by the Saints opening game last year and then had the best regular season record in football.
Well, Chris Lentz had a point.
Yeah, Chris had why wasn't Al Michaels? Because Al Michaels is doing Prime. This was on NBC. So NBC has the Sunday night games. They also have the first game of the season, and the Thursday night game for Thanksgiving is on NBC. Every other game is on Prime, and Al Michaels works for Prime right now, not NBC.
And they're Al Michaels' first game, September 15th, is a pretty good game on Prime. The Chargers against the Chiefs.
I'm actually looking forward to listening to Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit, who I like a lot. I think they'll be a good team together. I really do.
Keep an eye on, we just said, Alan, keep an eye on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, he gave the Ravens an ultimatum. He has to get signed by a certain date. I mean, why is he giving them an ultimatum? They'll happily let him play on the franchise tag for an extra year to make a short decision on him. This isn't an Aaron Judge situation or whether he better sign Lamar Jackson, because they have some doubts. I even have some doubts going forward whether Lamar Jackson truly is the long-term answer for the Ravens. I would say more likely than not he is, but there are some doubts there.
I have to agree. I mean, I have some doubts about the Ravens overall this year. I mean, they lost their best wide receiver. Their running game is in question outside of Lamar Jackson, and I'm not sure this team's a playoff team at all.
Listen, I don't know about that, Keith. They got a very well-coached team.
I agree.
Defense, and, they're going to be there in the end. I know that's for certain.
I think they'll be in the hunt. I just don't think they're going to. I think they won't make the playoffs. That's just listen, John Harbaugh is one of the better coaches in the league. I love John Harbaugh, but I just think this team is a little short on the offensive side of the football outside of Lamar Jackson.
Now we're doing size discrimination now. They're short. I mean, come on.
I didn't say that. I said I think they're a little short on talent on the offensive side.
Okay.
Yeah, and most of those players are bald too, so I think they got a whole hairless thing going on. You got to have hair in this NFL.
I can offend a whole group of people all by myself, Mac. I don't need your help. Jeez.
The Ravens haven't been bad for a long, long time. I mean, they always seem to retool.
Yeah,
they reboot. Not that they're an elite team, but they're never a bad team. It seems they're always a little better than average.
And that's partly because of the coaching, and they're well coached. The same thing with Pittsburgh. They don't ever have losing seasons.
Yeah.
He's never had a losing season, Mike Tomlin.
You think this is the year Pittsburgh has a losing season?
I know. I think they'll find a way to scrape themselves to. I know he keeps throwing this at me, I'll stand by those picks. Yes,
the Panthers are going to win their division. They're going to actually beat out Tampa Bay there.
I called that as well, Jack. I called Carolina, and Tampa Bay will finish third and out of the playoffs.
That's going to be interesting just in general, because I tell you, I think that the Rams are in that same boat. I think that the Rams could very well not make the playoffs. That this could be the one thing that I saw yesterday was that they looked old. I understand that it's game one and what have you, and you could call it whatever, it's a hangover or anything else. That was the one thing I saw, is that the hunger looked there in Buffalo over LA. But
you say that, Pags, but they, with the extra wild cards, they still got a shot at getting in there.
But you got to at least have a winning record, and I'm not sure that they're going to. I feel like that they have the target on their backs. They're a little older, and if they have to start getting their stuff together. They're not going to be able to. It can't be just Kupp by himself. We got to see what happens when Jefferson comes back. They have no running game, so you're going to have to be able to just defend the pass. And I'm not sure that all of those things together. Now you don't have Von Miller on the defensive line, so you got to make sure that Aaron Donald can do it all by himself. And I know that you've got some cornerbacks and stuff like that, but you could see that they were at a loss yesterday, last night against Buffalo. So I'm not sure that the Rams are able to catch lightning in the bottle again.
Yeah, I'm not to kind of piggyback off that a little bit. I'm not sure that they've got a place. And again, we talked about Jefferson being out. I just don't think he's got enough places to go with the football other than Cooper Kupp. Odell Beckham, this team, say what you want about Odell Beckham, but this team took on a different dimension offensively when Odell Beckham joined that team, and they couldn't just double team Cooper Kupp. And
Robert Woods got hurt last night.
And Robert Woods got hurt, yeah.
Kupp with great combo. I just switching to your favorite topic and the NFL, the Patriots here, guys. I have a possible theory that Bill Belichick is checking out this year. This is his last year. He just wants to get it done with, do the transition. And this is what I'm basing it on, guys. He took the team to Miami way earlier than he normally would. Maybe Belichick just wants to enjoy the nice, the weather there, the warmth and the whole thing,
No.
Just take it easy, chill out, there a little bit.
You can tell me this team will be bad. You can tell me whatever you want about this team. Do not tell me Bill Belichick checked out. There's no guy more focused than the NFL.
Gently checking out, transition type checking out.
Well, he went to Miami early. He went to Miami early on the request of the owner because they wanted to go get massages or something like that.
He's doing some recon work, I think, for Kraft. Yes.
Yeah. Bud Grant did the same thing with the Vikings. He used to take them early, and it didn't work out for him either. So, that's not a big advantage.
Wow, and like I said, we already broke the story between the Dolphins and the Patriots. We know how those two owners feel about each other.
Yeah.
I gotta imagine that they went there specifically to have him run around a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised that Ross has got guys on guard, and somebody's following. They're following all the cars and find out where everybody's doing and stuff like that. That has a little bit to do with this. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yes. Does this game against Miami, Keith, set the pattern for the season?
And I expect this team to get off to a slow start. I think they can win. They don't do well in Miami a lot of times anyway. They have trouble in Florida in general, unless it's Super Bowls.
That's the massages, Keith. That's the massage.
It might be. It might be. Yeah. But do I think this game sets a tone? No, because I fully expect this team to struggle a bit in September because of still trying to figure out this whole offensive scheme, and they've got some defensive issues to still work out. With that said, I think they could win in Miami Sunday, but I don't think I'm not going to get overly excited. This team can come out 2-2 in September. I'm going to be very happy with the way they're going to need to work some problems out still that carry over from the preseason. I don't think
that the Patriots matter.
They could have gotten Sony Michel back, They need reportedly a little help in the running game. Sony Michel was with the Rams. He left to go to Miami, and Miami cut him. Strangely, that's shocking. But then the LA Chargers picked him up, and if a good team like the LA Chargers are going to pick Sony Michel up, certainly you would think of familiarity with Belichick and the Patriots. It would have been a good fit, him going back there.
Possibly. I think he likes his running back cores. I mean, James White retiring certainly hurts them. They don't have that veteran guy that they like to have in a James White, even a Brandon Bolden type guy back there. But he likes the young guys. They love Ramondre Stevenson, and so do I. I think he's going to have an interesting year. Patriots running backs don't necessarily break out because he uses them the way he does use them. But if somebody's going to, it might be Ramondre Stevenson, and watch him as that James White type of guy catching the ball out of the backfield this year. He's been much more involved in the passing game during training camp. So we'll see.
Matt Patricia is calling the plays. Is that correct?
Matt Patricia is calling the plays. Yes.
So
I really didn't think there was going to be any doubt there myself, but
first off, I don't trust Judge at all. I think that Judge is just a mess. You know what I mean? And that he was allowed to come back onto the coaching staff because he didn't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah, I think he's got a relationship with Belichick, and Belichick threw him a lifeline, and I think that's about it. He's a quarterback's coach, which, whatever. I don't think he's.
No, I don't know. I don't think so either. He's not a quarterback coach.
No, he is in name. He's a quarterback coach, but he's not going to do much there.
Judge.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, and
that's not his role on this team. He was the special teams coach before he left for the Giants.
Well, maybe, yeah.
And like I said, I think, and I think that's some of the trends that happen, that the special teams coaches become head coaches faster.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks coaches and special team coaches seem to do better as head coaches than coordinators.
Yeah.
That coordinators have to deal with the framework of the head coach, where a special teams guy works outside of that box a little bit.
Yeah.
So
John Harbaugh is a perfect example of that, right?
Exactly.
Wasn't he with the Eagles?
The Eagles.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
And was it Mike Tomlin? Wasn't Mike Tomlin also a special teams coach?
I think he was a defensive coordinator with the Vikings when he got the job. Pretty sure.
Okay.
So, but I mean, you normally see those special teams guys, and I think that has to do more with delegation. That special team coaches have to delegate responsibilities to their players well. And when that seems to work seamlessly, because there's a lot of moving parts, you never know which guy you're going to have, because they flip-flop so frequently, because somebody gets escalated or de-escalated into that mix. So when you have a special teams that does really well, that shows better in an interview for a head coach. And like I said, look at John Harbaugh. That's been amazing for him. So
Parcells used to use the veterans on his kickoff coverage teams, and you would think that maybe he'd be scared to get injured, but he wasn't scared. You go out there, you're going to cover kickoffs too.
Yeah, agreed. And going back to the coaches delegating, one thing I'll give Brian Daboll credit for coming in here, because he came in here as this offensive genius who turned Josh Allen into what he is. I think it showed great smarts and also lack of ego to give up the play calling duties with the Giants. I think it's a smart thing for him to do. Not that he won't have the last say, but still, I think it's a smart thing for him to do.
So you don't agree with that comment that what was that the viewer came up with about the Raiders?
Coach of the Raiders was there. I think that was the best part of the Raiders last year.
Yeah,
that coach was the best part of the Raiders.
Yeah, they probably should have hired him as the full-time coach.
No doubt.
I agree.
No doubt at all.
Well, they got Josh McDaniels, so this is Josh's second act. And how coaches do the second time around, it's mixed. I mean, the ultimate example of success is obviously Belichick the second time around. But, you know, we have a lot of cases too where it doesn't work out the second time around.
You could say that it was the third time around because he did have a little stint with the Jets.
Well, you know who I feel
like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Rich Kotite's second time around, the Eagles to the Jets. Exactly.
I tell you, but I mean,
Todd Bowles, second time around after being the Jet coach, he's coming to Tampa not at the perfect time to me, but you know, maybe Tampa Bay will retain a lot of what they had. Who knows? But I don't have a good feel about Tampa Bay.
I don't have. I think there's just too many distractions in Tampa Bay right now between the new head coach and you also got the old head coach upstairs kind of overseeing what he's doing.
Close with Todd Bowles. No, they're very close. So
well, I understand that, but Bruce Arians thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and
they've been together a lot of years. No, I think Bruce Arians, you know, Todd Bowles are going to be fine.
We'll see. And then Tom Brady, who I've spent a lifetime protecting or defending, I should say. You know, he's a distraction of his own.
I think the offensive line is the issue. I think
the offensive line, the talent around Brady's worse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues there.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see both, you know, Tom Brady and Belichick both have losing seasons.
Maybe they'll both ride out into the sunset. Belichick's not going anywhere until he wins a Super Bowl without Brady.
No, Belichick's still got a lot.
Well, then he's going to be coaching till he's about 90.
Your boy that you touted is my quarterback. Now, don't be jumping ship on me, Jack.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying.
Brian Hoyer, right? Brian Hoyer we're talking about.
No, not Brian Hoyer.
No, Mac Jones is going to be good. Mac Jones is their franchise quarterback. But Mac Jones is not ever going to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't think he'll quite get there. Top 10.
Doesn't have to be.
Number 10. He doesn't have to be. You're right. He doesn't have to be a game changer. He's not going to be a Josh Allen at any point. But he could be a good version of a Kirk Cousins, a little better version.
Whoa.
I mean, something like that. No, that's good. That's good. Being better than Kirk Cousins. Or he can be maybe approach what Carson Wentz was when Carson was at his peak. I mean, and that's going to be good. That wins you Super Bowls. Mac Jones is their franchise guy. But the competition is such now. There's such parity in the league. It's so hard to get there. It's amazing what the Patriots did for 20 years to be so dominant in the AFC East the way they were.
Yeah, it's tough. I was looking usually week 1 and 2. It's not hard to find a pick for my survivor pool, but man, the matchups aren't easy this week. Coming up with somebody I say can't lose. It's very hard.
Here's my strategy, Keith. Next week I go with a very low team. So if they lose like they should, I'm still ahead of the game.
So, and my question for you, going back to Belichick, do you think that there's any thought process on him trying to catch Hallis or Shula?
I don't know.
28 games away from Hallis and 38 games away from Shula.
Yeah, I think he's going to get them both because I don't think he's going away anytime soon, unlike Jack. And I don't know that those numbers mean that much to him. I think winning a Super Bowl without Brady probably means more to him.
He did actually. No one gives him credit for the Giants. He was the defensive coordinator that won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Well,
as far as the coach goes, talk about all of the Super Bowls. He has the most rings in the NFL. And I'm counting every Super Bowl that he's been a part of. So he's got a lot of rings in his.
Yeah.
So if Belichick leaves the Patriots to go to another team to finish out his career, what team does he end up with?
None. I won't even give you a name. There's no way he coaches anywhere else.
Not even the Giants.
I don't know. I think that once Brady becomes partial owner of the Dolphins, he goes and coaches the Dolphins.
Possibility.
That's interesting. I would think if you were going to make me pick a team, and the Giants had an opening, maybe he'd go back to the Giants. Maybe. But we've been down that road a few years ago. Remember that?
How secure is Belichick? Can he be there as long as he wants? Kind of in this way like Pete Carroll is with the Seahawks. You get that feeling because if the Seahawks wanted to move on from Pete Carroll, they could have done it at the end of this year. Is Robert Kraft going to be patient with? Let's say they go 6-11 this year, which is a possibility, actually. Would he be patient enough to feel, look, Bill could be here as long as he wants. I have faith in him. He's going to get it straight. Or does he look elsewhere?
No.
I mean, as crazy as it might seem, would Robert Kraft look towards a Brian Flores, who was with the Patriot on their coaching staff, and bring in a young, dynamic guy?
I don't see it happening. The public backlash would be enormous, and I just don't see it happening. I think he'll walk away. I mean, they could sit down and have a conversation, and they agree that he'll back away or leave, but I don't think he's going to get fired ever.
So how about this? How about this? We'll throw this out there as we only have a couple of minutes left to go. Obviously, Seattle stinks this year, and they wind up with the number 1 pick in the draft. The Patriots also stink this year. Carroll gets fired. They talk about what's going on with Belichick in New England, and he decides that he wants to go to Seattle with the number 1 pick in the draft.
Okay.
He has a couple of good pieces. He's got a good wide receiver. They have an okay offensive and defensive line. And all of a sudden he goes to Seattle.
Maybe.
He's got Geno Smith and Drew Lock there.
Yeah, and the first pick in the draft, he'll be able to pick a quarterback, exactly who he'd want.
But you know something, you gotta consider a guy's age. When you get older, and I can talk like experience, you don't want to go elsewhere. Start a whole new life in a whole new city to just coach. Maybe if you want to just retire and relax, yes. But not to go to a whole new atmosphere that's foreign. And it's basically starting.
Isn't that where coaches go retire? That's where Holmgren went.
That's where Carroll went. All right.
Well, Belichick's going to be about 70 years older there.
I don't see that happening. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm just giving like a possibility. In the alternate universe here, it's that with the first pick
Giants,
in the draft,
I could somehow see that at some point, maybe because it's not far from New England. He has a history with the Giants and a passion, maybe a hidden desire to coach that team.
Sure, I agree.
I could see the Giants somehow.
And then maybe Robert Kraft corrects what he says is his biggest regret in the history of him owning the New England Patriots. He says the thing he regrets the most is firing Pete Carroll.
Okay. All right.
Did he say that?
Shockingly, yes. Shockingly, he has said that more than once. Yes.
I don't agree with that. So.
Yeah, I mean,
he did say it, but it worked out all right. He won 6 Super Bowls after he fired him, so I think it worked out all right.
Exactly. And Pete Carroll, all Pete Carroll did was keep his mouth shut. He knew what was happening in Miami long before it even came out. So that's the reason why.
Yep.
So, hey, listen, guys. Well, we have come to the end of our 2-hour episode here. Lively as it is, the NFL is back. If you couldn't tell, that's all we talked about today, minus a little bit of a few seconds for the Yankees here.
Thank you.
It should be. Yeah, exactly. Hey, listen, I might as well just say this now. Joey Gallo had DNP, so he did not play. So that was the reason why. Well, the Yankees also lost yesterday, so they're about to blow it, in a monumental fashion.
A new curse.
But we will be back tomorrow with Dr. Paul Seminger for the Saturday show and Mac and Jack show. And then Sunday we have this football with Jim Jeffcoat and everybody else coming in to do their picks. So definitely come back to watch us this weekend. Everybody have a great weekend. And as always, we will be back to see you guys soon.